Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Daraja. This is Omar bringing you the Stairway to Your Higher Self podcast. Daraja is an Arabic word that means levels, stages, steps, or degrees. In each episode, we'll bring you stories of Muslim leaders from around the world who have overcome significant challenges through discipline, positivity, and faith. Our goal is that you'll be inspired through their stories to reach your higher self. Welcome to Daraja. Today, we will be talking about authenticity with a woman who embodies the concept and has an amazing story that we hope will inspire you and give you practical tips on how to find and lead with your most authentic self. Dr. Rubina F. Malik is a strategic advisor and thought leader. She works with startups to Fortune 500 brands to enhance the engagement, retention, and promotion of diverse candidates, to propel programs such as mentoring, career sponsorship, and leadership development. Dr. Malik holds a PhD with an emphasis on human resource organization development from the University of Georgia. A global citizen, she calls Dubai and Atlanta home. Dr. Rubina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's clear from your resume that you are passionate about empowering and motivating people to be the best versions of themselves. Could you shed some light on your backstory? How did you get started?
So I am a daughter of an immigrant. My father migrated here back in late early 70s actually. So he was invited to come here actually. And I know everyone thinks that immigrants are all, like coming off the boat, but that's not necessarily true. So he was invited and he went to school here, got his master's. He was working on computers before we even knew what they were. And so I grew up here I grew up in Georgia, in Atlanta. He went to Georgia Tech. Yes, we have rivalry on the house. I went to UGA. So I guess I was always a rebel. And so I think from the start, like for me, being um, well, first of all, I feel like I was raised in a communal, familial atmosphere, right? Like, so if we think about where I'm from, originally from Pakistan, it is, if we look at Hofstade's theory, it's a communal and a familial uh, culture. And so, although I was at that time the only daughter, the only child, I still had cousins that I grew up with. And then I saw my mom, and I watched my mom be such a compassionate, loving human being to others. And it was that. And then having been an underdog myself, I just have this belief that everyone in God's eyes and Allah's eyes is equal, and we all bring, everything the same. And it's up to us to have the skills to go to that next level. And I want to be that conduit for individuals to have those skills to go to that next level to be the best that they can be. Now, what they do with it is their destiny, but at least I know I did my part, to do that. Hence, where I've been, um, career wise, where I am today, even career wise, my research. I was fighting for the glass ceiling back in the day when I was coming out of college. Matter of fact, somebody was just asking me, and I was like, yeah, when I was in college, I was like, I'm going to break this glass ceiling and the door and the windows. And, I may not be in corporate America doing that. I've spent most of my career in academia, but I did research on how to break it. I continue to do research. I continue to do things that support that. So it's something that's very important to me. Not equality, but equity. And I've been talking about equity for a long time because that's what, if I think about what I'm passionate about. And once I was told, what is it that really upsets you? And what really upsets me is when people, there's not equity in the world. And so I've been on that box for a long time, creating equity.
Dr. Malik is all over social media. I follow her on LinkedIn, and she has this. It's a newsletter she publishes once a week. I call it M3, the Malik Monday Mentoring. Really provides insightful, actionable steps that you can take to, go to that next level that she's talking about. So she's not only speaking of it, she does it, and she's very committed to it. And I will put her link to LinkedIn, as well as our other social media platforms. But I would encourage you to just check out her Malik Monday Mentoring. So, are there any projects that you're working on right now, Dr. Malik, that you're excited about?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like I'm always working on a project, projects, plural. I have several. The one that I'm passionate about is, as you can tell, like I have on a colorful cover. So I've been working on, making kaftans and kaftan shirts, kaftan covers for making out clothes for the last maybe a year and a half to 2 years. I even though I was raised in the U.S., you might think that, oh, she's American. In a lot of ways, I am. But when it comes to, my culture and my religion and how I dress, I still like to be modest. And so I just said I couldn't find some stuff that I wanted. And I just started designing my own. And now, like people are like, oh, I like that. I like that. And I was like, oh, well, so it's really a passion project. And inshallah, I'll be the next House of Versace because my business is House of Rubina. So people will be like, "Who's Versace?" I know House of Rubina.
And how did you get started with all of this? I mean, was it just something obviously you said, you couldn't find something, so you created it, right? If you can't find
Right.
it, build it.
So when it comes to a house, I have no idea. Like I couldn't tell you anything. Like I did learn a few things because in my last place, one of my friends came and decorated it. And I'm like, okay, now why did you put that? And he's like, it's the size. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had no idea. I probably would put something small in a big room. So I know that's not and this is like, I want the listeners to get something out of this story. It's like understanding what you're good at, what your strengths are, knowing that as well. So I have no problem hiring someone to do an interior because I know that's not my strong suit. I can't walk into a room and visualize it. Now, when it comes to clothes, I can look at a piece of cloth. I can even look at an outfit. And let's say, like, I kind of even know your personality. And I could probably pick up an outfit for you and you would love it, right? And then you would be like, how did you know? I don't know. I can't tell you that. It's just like a strong suit. I can visualize it. Like, some people are like, I can't see it together. See, I can in my head. And so for me, what I would do is like I'm looking at something and I'm like, wow, like I could wear that or I would love that if it had this, this, and this. And then I just started putting this, and this on it and voila. And
It
then of
just
course, yeah, and um I'm very like I like color. And so another thing that's important to me is using fabric from my mother country, Pakistan, and that's really important to me. And we have beautiful fabric and fabric that's vibrant and colorful, and so to be able to use that. And my dream really is to source all my stuff from Pakistan, as well as have the clothes being made in Pakistan. So,
it's interesting. I wanted to circle back on a topic that it's in your resume and you kind of mention it, but you talk about DE and I, and some organizations talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and some even go as far as to say belonging. What are some of the challenges you see as you work with these, whether it's a startup or if it's a Fortune 500 company, do you see themes that you could say, yep, I know where this is going. These people don't get it. Or, hey, this looks great. I'm positive. What is your perspective on this whole DE&I, um, you know, thing, so to speak? What is your, could you talk to us about that?
Yeah, like how much time do we have? um,
Right.
so diversity, equality, inclusion, belonging, and I mean, and what is there? When we're talking about, I feel like right now we're pushing it. Everybody's like pushing it, like we got to do this, we got to do this. And I was just working. I was, I have my own consulting firm, so I was working with a client, and we work together. And not only is he my client, but sometimes he also asks me to work with him on other things. And he's working on a project with one of his clients that he was asking me. And I was telling him something. I was like, look, if we're going to do diversity work, and we can't just go in and say, okay, let's clean up this room and, like, let's hurry up and clean up this room and make it diverse. Like, it takes time to change a culture. It takes time to change a mindset. And the more we push it into people's faces, the more people resist. People don't like change. So if we're going to bring diversity and DEI and be into corporations, we have to do it in a way that people can uh, palate it.
Digest
And
it.
so for me, yeah, digest it. So for me, the biggest thing is, yes, we do have an issue. Organizations do need to evaluate the number of diverse candidates that they have, in their companies. And then secondly, they need to do work not because they have to, because they want to. And I think that's very important. And you can see the culture and you can feel the culture when an organization does that. And you might ask, okay, so what does that mean? Like I said, it means putting stuff into your culture, putting stuff into your business, and doing it in a way that can be digestible and shifts cultures. It may not, let's not do it in a week, let's just do it in a month. Stop trying to shove it down and say you're working on it and if you all you're doing is putting a band-aid on it. You're not getting down to the root of it. And I'm saying get down to the root of it, shift things, and then allow it um, to make an impact in your organization and to make an impact in our society as well. And the biggest thing is for me is that don't put minority or diverse candidates into positions that they might fail. And I say might fail is because you haven't trained them, you haven't given them what they needed, and you're putting them in there just because you feel like you have to, versus like, yes, this is a valid candidate. If you don't have valid candidates, start training them, start giving them what they need, and then putting them into those positions or putting them in those positions and making sure they get the resources that they need. So there's a lot of work we have to do around that and making sure that then they're successful in that position. Don't put diverse candidates into positions, then be like, yeah, I told you. I put that Pakistani princess in that position and, she didn't make it. But I know they weren't talking about me, but,
No, I love that concept because that's really what Daraja is all about. You talk about you can't really force change. Change has to occur. It goes through a process. Um, and you have to give people time and grace to adjust to the change. And it happens not by, microwaving it, but by taking slow steps, and making progress along the way. And I think that, you talked about, the spirit of what you're doing versus the letter. Yeah, I have a diverse set of candidates and that I'm compliant, but are you really making the impact that,
yeah.
that the program isn't intended to perform? So, no, I love that. And for those of you who are listening, Dr. Malik she does this for a living, so she knows what she's talking about. And again, we'll put links to her talks, her company in the show notes, so you could just scroll down and see how you could reach out to her if you need help in terms of your diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging program. So, Dr. Malik, you own your own company, you run marathons, you love serving others, and so much more. Making clothes, cutting, designing clothes. Will you tell us what your daily routine looks like, if there's such a thing?
Right. That's what I was like. Do I have a routine? Um, I mean, I do have a routine in the sense that, um, oh, sorry, my niece just sent me a picture of her wearing my necklace, a necklace I gave her. So I'm sorry, that's much more important. Let me. Oh. And today's picture day, so she's wearing uh, auntie's necklace. So that's something that's really important to me. That's a daily. Actually, that's a daily. Uh, this is something that I do daily. So I don't care where I am in the world. I will get up and I will text my niece and nephew good night. And sometimes that's 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning.
So, connecting with family,
No, connecting
being
with them, connecting with them in particular.
okay, and being
Right,
there for them, knowing that auntie is always there.
always
Auntie,
there. They
uh,
have no idea that I'm in a totally different time zone, you know, and that's really important. And so so anyway, so I get up at 3:30 to wish them a good night. But so my daily routine, I usually um, I will start out. Uh, I, I'm usually up early in the morning, so before Fajr, I'm usually like it's just a natural. I've always gotten up early. I exercise, and uh, I may um, I may eat or not, depends on if I'm fasting. And then like let's say 8 o'clock, or start my day. Usually it's a little bit earlier because I do start early, and I'm very keen about getting started early because early bird work gets the worm. But I'm a morning person, so I like to be up early. Hence, we're up early this morning.
right,
So you're up earlier than me. Um, and for me, it's like having a schedule, like knowing what I'm talking about. I mean, I usually plan. I'm a planner, so like what's going on this week, but in particular, like what's going on today. What are the top three things that I want to accomplish today, and having them in priority order. And then working towards them. I can't say exactly what when, or it could be a meeting, it could be a task. So I make sure I take the time to do what what is a priority. And sometimes it may be I'm at the tailor's house, at the tailor's at a certain time, getting something done, or I might be on a phone call or at a networking meeting or at a conference. So it's prioritizing. I think that's just always just very important. And the other thing is you heard me say like my top three things. Whereas human beings, like we don't have like lists with 5,000 things on it. You can take this list and then take, okay, I'm going to work on this today. I'm going to work on that today. Because our mind can't put the mind looks at that list and going, oh my God, there's 5,000 things. I'm tired. Pick two to three things. Our mind can only really connect um, up to five things.
I agree. It's funny. A few weeks ago, I was talking to a friend, and I said, I think we should probably focus on the not to do list instead of a to do list,
Yeah,
because it's important. When you talk about priority. But obviously, you're an early riser, a self starter, a planner, well organized, and you're focused. You're focused on the outcome. So one of the things I wanted to get from you before we close out is, you're obviously a reader. Any suggestions or recommendations of books, or perhaps something you're reading now that you found motivational or informative that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I've got a couple. Um, so I'm trying. So one is the enemy is the ego. So I've heard fabulous things about this guy and his books. So I just started that. That's in written form. So I have the book because I do like the book, but I've really getting into audio lately. So I just finished, and I love her book. It's Rachel Rogers. I've gone to one of her workshops and stuff, and she's written a book called "Everyone Should Be a Millionaire," and it really puts. I like to think I have a good mindset, and but she really put a lot of stuff in perspective when it came to our mindset when it comes to money and even starting businesses. And so that's kind of like motivated me a little bit more to push me. Like, what more can I do? And like, yeah, I want to be a million. I can be a multimillionaire. Like that's my goal. Why not? And to dream big. Like it's okay. We can. And I think sometimes, like, why would I want to be a multimillionaire? Why not? I can give more. I can make a contribution to others. At the end of the day, money opens up so many other avenues, and it's not just about money for yourself, but the impact that you can make in your communities, right? So for me, part of it is that, and that is a part of what she's saying too. Is like, you want to help. There's like having that mindset and really going through those things that stop you from really excelling and creating your own business or even in business. And then what else? What else? The mountain is you. And I have just literally just finished 21%. It says here. I'm totally in love with the book. And it was referred to me by someone. And like, I'm just always like, oh my God, thank you for. But it really talks about our resistance, like how we, the things that we resist. And the mountain is you, right? Like, and I'm going to assume, because I haven't finished it, but this is talking about we get in our own way. And how many, and we do, right? We get in our own way in so many things. And sometimes part of it is resistance. So
Yeah, it's kind of like, so the first book you mentioned was Ego is the Enemy. I think you said
have you
Ego is
read
the
that?
Enemy. I think I may have read it because it kind of it's along the same theme as The Mountain Is You, where you kind of get in your own way. If I'm thinking of the right book. So the first one was Ego is the Enemy. Everyone Should Be a Millionaire, and the third one is The Mountain Is You. I would highly recommend those books. And I wanted to kind of wrap up with a question that, maybe some of our listeners are young, starting out in college. And I know, given you mentor a lot of folks, um, what advice would you give to someone who, they're struggling with, should they take the corporate path or take more of a philanthropic path? What advice would you give to a young Muslim who is struggling with perhaps their identity or just struggling with what's next in life?
I just spent 18 years at Morehouse, right? I was a business professor. So I don't know if you knew that. This is just right up my alley. Everybody has their own path, and it's always, everyone's path is different. So the first thing I would say is don't be attached to how it's going to look, right? For me, it's almost like every degree I got a new, a new way, a new job, or a new area. I would say not a new job, but like I said, the theme was always very similar. So go explore.
Yeah.
So be practical, be realistic. I never want to cut off anybody's dream, but like I said, be responsible. With that.
I love it. Thank you. Be practical, be realistic, and be responsible. So, thank you so much for spending time with us, Dr. Rubina, and for inspiring us all to be the best versions of ourselves through the insights that you've shared. And thank you to our listeners for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe so more people can find their ways to our community. And may you all have a wonderful day. And we look forward to the next
No,
podcast.
it's y'all. It's not you all. It's
May
y'all.
y'all, yeah, there we go. May y'all have a wonderful day and keep sharing so we can all get to our higher selves.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.